Well, forget about 5G. Get ready for 6G networks. Remember when 180 scientists from 36 countries wrote to the European Union demanding that they stop the rollout of 5G because of massive health concerns? Remember how they warned governments that we absolutely should not deploy this technology until we studied the long-term effects on human beings? Well, let me read it for you. We, the undersigned scientists, recommend a moratorium on the rollout of the 5th generation 5G until potential hazards for human health and the environment have been fully investigated by scientists independent from industry. 5G will substantially increase exposure to radio frequency like electromagnetic fields, RF, EMF, and has been proven to be harmful for humans and the environment. Yeah, well, they blew right past that. They didn't give a hoot about it. They ignored the scientists. They rolled it out anyway. And now, without addressing one single of those concerns, they're preparing to unleash something far more powerful, far more invasive, and potentially far more dangerous, 6G. So here today, I wanted to break down exactly what this technology is, how it works, why governments and corporations are racing to deploy it right now, and why, once again, experts and scientists are sounding the alarm about its risks, from cybersecurity to surveillance to national security to human health. Like across the board, they're criticizing this. Because once you understand what 6G actually does, you'll understand why this isn't just like another tech upgrade, like some guy up on a tower just like upgrading a transformer. It will be a transformation of human life and possibly a threat to it, in the very same way that mRNA vaccines changed millions of lives. So what is 6G exactly? So let's start with some of the basics. 6G is the 6th generation of the cellular network technology, the thing that's supposed to replace 5G. Of course, that's the obvious part. But unlike previous upgrades, the jump from 5G to 6G is actually massive. 6G will operate on frequencies far higher than anything used today. It's extremely tight. It's like laser-like beams of energy that can deliver unimaginable data speeds, near zero latency. Now, I've spoken to sources who've worked for these companies, and they've told me their business plan is to basically eliminate your need for Wi-Fi in your home. Like, you won't need to call up Comcast. You won't need to call up any other providers because 6G will just be all around you. Why would you pay for Comcast? It's going to be super fast, so no need to get Xfinity in your home. No need to have a router in your home. That's the plan. I've seen the documents, and I've talked to the techs who are actually building this out. So here's the major difference, though, between 5G and 6G. 6G will be AI native, of course. So everything's AI, right? Artificial intelligence won't be just an add-on. It will be built into the network at every level. The system will make real-time decisions. It'll reroute traffic. It'll identify patterns. And by the way, it'll self-heal itself without a single human being even being involved in it. Skynet, I guess, right? So this network becomes autonomous. So in other words, this is the first time in history that we are creating a communication system that actually thinks for itself and heals itself. So how does this 6G actually work? Well, let's break this down. 5G runs mostly on sub-G 6 gigahertz and some millimeter wave frequencies. 6G leaps into the terahertz spectrum, roughly 100 times faster than 5G. But those frequencies can't travel far. They get blocked by like cement walls and trees. Even humidity blocks it. Good luck, Florida. So how do you actually blanket an entire country or the entire planet with something that barely travels and humidity gets in the way? Well, the answer is both ingenious and actually pretty terrifying. They're using reconfigurable intelligence surfaces. These are walls, windows, street signs, and everyday objects that are turned into active components of the network, capable of redirecting wireless signals like mirrors. In fact, one of the techs I spoke to about this said, just imagine walking down the street and every stop sign you see, every telephone pole you see, or every other metal pole you see right outside of your apartment would have one of these like 6G components on it. In other words, the environment becomes the network, with massive antenna grids, thousands, even millions of synchronized micro antennas that can track and beam signals directly to you with extreme precision. And 6G doesn't just broadcast, it actually targets, it actually shapes like the signal around you. And then, by the way, it follows you wherever you go. It adjusts itself automatically based on your environment, your movement, and your behavior. This is why surveillance experts are sounding the alarm, as you can imagine. 6G isn't just about faster phones. It's about the creation of a constantly sensing, constantly tracking digital ecosystem. So more about this AI native part of it, because it's important. AI changes everything, and 6G will, number one, predict your movement, anticipate traffic flow, detect behavioral anomalies, like we've been covering this, right? Oh, this person's like antisocial. This person doesn't leave their house on a regular basis. We should flag that. Maybe he's a terrorist. It'll also enforce automated restrictions. It'll also integrate with that digital ID system, of course, and it'll make split-second decisions without any human oversight. So this becomes the nervous system of like a hyper-connected society. Every camera, every sensor, every vehicle, every appliance in your home, every wearable, like every medical device, all feeding data into a single unified intelligent network. So 6G isn't just faster, it's aware of everything that you're doing. And that raises some serious concerns. So when will 6G actually arrive? Well, right now, 6G is in research and development. Tests began back in 2020. Prototypes are already being deployed worldwide. Most experts predict, though, a full commercial launch by the year 2030. So just 5 years away. But here's the truth. You're already being exposed to early versions of this technology. And the dangers aren't hypothetical. They're actually happening right now. Let's look at 3 of the biggest risks according to early data. Take a look at this. They kind of broke this down in this piece. Number 1, data privacy basically collapses. So 6G will connect billions more devices than 5G ever could. That means your location, your biometrics, your shopping habits, your health data, your household devices, your movement patterns, all of it being tracked in real time and all analyzed by AI, and then all stored somewhere that you'll never see. This is like surveillance capitalism on steroids. So when you see this new network you're opting into, you get zero privacy. Number 2, nation-state cyber warfare. With 6G, cyber warfare shifts from hacking computers to disabling entire societies. Think about it. Hospitals, power grids, financial systems, transportation networks, military operations, everything becomes a target. And then with those terahertz speeds, attacks happen faster than humans can even respond to it. And then number 3, government abuse, because the government never abuses us, right? But this is all going to be part of it. This is the most predictable threat of all, of course. With 6G, governments could have real-time citizen tracking, which is what they want. They want behavioral mapping, which is what they're rolling out right now in Gaza, as we covered here on the show with Palantir. They have automated law enforcement, pre-crime detection, like, oh, Clayton hasn't left the house in a few days. Maybe he's plotting a terrorist act or something. Social credit score? You know, you've traveled too much and your carbon footprint is too much, so we don't think you should be allowed to buy gasoline for the next month because you traveled too much to see grandma 4 hours away. And then it'll also have a seamless digital ID enforcement, all of it. This is the next level of control, and this network makes this possible, and it's frankly unprecedented. Look at this new article from CNET just published, which experts warn that 6G will blur the line between private life and public monitoring. So every device, every room, every street, every building, all part of like one enormous sensing network that never turns off. This isn't just connectivity, it's environmental surveillance. I guess we all need to move to like Montana or the woods of Wyoming at this point. Because once the system is deployed, there's no opting out. Like even if you don't have a 6G phone, it doesn't matter. You'll be walking right through this network every day. Again, unless you live, I guess, in remote Alaska or Wyoming, where they don't even have cell phone service. Now, here's where it gets even more suspicious, though, because the World Health Organization has not updated its position since 2011, before 5G even existed, let alone 6G. They claimed back then that there was no health risk, and they've simply refused to revisit that conclusion at all. That's because the WHO is wildly corrupt, of course. I spoke to a doctor from the WHO who told me, don't believe anything they say. He worked for the WHO. Meanwhile, independent scientists, medical researchers, epidemiologists, environmental health experts all continue to raise red flags about the constant exposure to these high-frequency fields. But instead of studying it, governments are pushing 6G at full speed ahead. Why? Well, we're going to dig into that with our next guest, who's been warning about these health consequences for years and has been studying this for years. Kim Bright is the founder of BrightCore, and she is back on the show. Kim, welcome to the show. Great to see you.
Well, great to see you too. And what a subject, huh? This is a terrifying subject where every move is going to be monitored, documented, and analyzed. And it's not just what we're doing, Clayton, but what the system thinks that we're likely to do next. This is something incredibly sci-fi.
I mean, let's talk about the human body. And this is one of your areas of expertise, of course. But, you know, you have all these scientists warning about 5G, and they just got totally ignored about it. I mean, I have people in our comments on a regular basis who talk about, like, how they just can't be near certain towers. It really affects them. They've asked us repeatedly, hey, can you guys do more stories on 5G and this technology? I mean, this now, what it does to the human body, maybe you can kind of break that down for us.
Well, we went from, the hertz is a measurement of frequency, and 1 hertz is, in 1 second, that's the amount of frequency. We're all the way up with 5 and 6G. We're going into almost gamma rays. We're up into terahertz, which are trillions of frequencies per second. The human body can't handle that. And it is just not, it's not built that way. I mean, but here's what they're doing now. They've designed these antennas, not only what you mentioned in the outside, but they've designed different antennas to be fitted onto the human body. You've got your rings now. Everybody's like, oh, they think it's so cool to get one of these rings or bracelets or watches. That's just to name a few of what they're making people think is so cool to have. And people that are wearing these things, Clayton, they've already had so many negative experiences with them. I mean, people are having severe allergic reactions, headaches, fatigue. So these people that are creating this know that it's dangerous. And of course, the WHO, they established a project back in 1996 called the EMF Project, Electromagnetic Field Project, to assess the scientific evidence regarding possible health effects on EMF exposure. Well, they've reviewed approximately, they say, 25,000 articles over the past 30 years. Of course, we have no idea who wrote these articles or what their viewpoints are or anything, but they're saying that's what they've done. And the WHO, from looking at all this, has concluded that the current evidence does not confirm the existence of any health consequences from exposure to low-level electromagnetic fields. Now, what we're talking about here in terahertz is not low level. So this is just craziness.
Right.
And then we've got
what's low level? Like
low level, what your radio waves were like 30,000 hertz. We're talking about in terahertz, 1 billion hertz per second, not 30,000. We're talking magnitudes of order here. Now, they've got what's called an IARC classification. That's the International Agency for Research on Cancer. And that's a specialized agency of the WHO, World Health Organization, and they're classifying radio frequency EMFs from mobile phones, Wi-Fi's, on and on. And as they're saying, they're possibly carcinogenic to humans. That's back in 2011, as you mentioned. Now, this was supposedly based on an observed increased risk for a specific type of brain cancer. And it was among the heaviest mobile phone users in some, but not all studies. And it indicated that a causal link, again, these words just blow me away, causal link, it is considered possible, but the evidence is limited and not conclusive. So the known health effects that they're saying, the only consistent acknowledged health effect from EMFs that they're actually putting out there is that it heats body tissues at very high exposure levels. And they're using that as the basis for current exposure limits.
So it heats by body levels. I mean, it's ridiculous. And you can't escape it. Right, I kind of joked about moving to Wyoming and Alaska in the intro here, but I mean, if you can't escape it, what are you to do about it? I've heard, stories from people who've like petition the government. I mean, they can't sleep at night. They've had all sorts of issues where they're at massive anxiety that it's hit. I've had friends who've tried to wear an Apple Watch and their whole arm turned red and he couldn't wear it. His whole arm became inflamed. He's like, I can't wear this thing. And I was like, what? And he literally, his whole arm turned red and got rashes from wearing it.
Well, with 5G, that's just using 5G now, but the primary established effect of that intense RF energy, it heats the tissues. So that's evidence right there. If it got all red, it's heating the tissues. It's literally dehydrating us. But supposedly these international exposure limits are in place to prevent this from happening under normal usage. I mean, this is crazy the way they talk. And the problem with these established limits, Clayton, is it's not been studied with enough time of constant exposure to conclude that it's in fact unharmful. I mean, they're using mice and exposing them for a day or a week. We need to look at what in the world are they doing? What is this doing over a period of months and years? And they just haven't done it. And again, the WHO hasn't changed their position on the safety of 5G since 2011. And they're even saying some studies suggesting harm have been criticized for poor methodology or a lack of independent replication or for using high exposure levels that don't represent real world public exposure. Well, excuse me, these studies that are looking at higher exposures are very valid. They just don't want you to know they are.
Right, because to me, exactly, they're valid. And to me, the WHO, they're just ignoring all of this, just in the way that they ignored mRNA vaccines and all of this.
Yep.
Because there's enormous amounts of money at play here, right? And it's all about control. So they're not going to go up against the money and the governments that want this total control about movement and data, all of it around us, right?
That's right. They put these electromagnetic fields all around us, and they're going to continue to close us in with even more. I mean, they're ranging from non-ionizing, low-energy radiation fields, low doses, which are generally considered harmless, to these ionizing high-energy radiation fields, which definitely have the potential to cause cellular and DNA damage. In 2024, the CDC actually put out that it could cause that. So, hopefully RFK Jr. is going to put out even more data on this, but we'll see. But the increasing widespread use of these EMFs, it's raising important questions about the potential effects, again, to our long-term exposure. And let me give you an example, a great example of something very curious. In the UK, there was a report that came out, Clayton, and it showed that life expectancy is years shorter in the US compared to UK, and that the United States had 5G in every metropolitan area before the UK even had a single 5G tower. So here in the United States, we've had more overall exposure to 5G, and we've had higher frequencies. We have the highest frequencies in the world. Australia has the second. China has the least, believe it or not. And we've had these for longer periods of time than the UK. So I don't know if you realize this, but 5G was unable to penetrate the epidermis and fat layer, and it has to be absorbed through our sweat pores. But 6G, Clayton, is going to have high enough hertz, again, those terahertz, that it will completely penetrate our skin and our fat layers and go directly into our blood and veins.
Oh, good. That's great
Isn't
news.
that great?
Well, and I think about this life expectancy question. You wonder why there's just been an absolute plummeting of testosterone or whatever, or sperm count, et cetera, in men. And so I don't know if they found a direct link, but it's very, very curious that we've had it here in the United States, and we've seen this plummeting of life expectancy for the first time in decades. The United States has experienced this.
Yeah, well, it's all the combination of all the things that we've been talking about with all our different interviews. But here's the thing. These wavelengths, as they go up in hertz, they become more condensed. And, you start out with the lower hertz ranges, and they're like waves on the ocean, right? And then as we go up into the gigahertz and the megahertz and then the terahertz, it's coming in to the point where it's like a laser beam.
That's
This
what's
is how
terrifying.
high intense the intensity is.
That's what's terrifying to me. I mean, we've seen, like, militaries roll out laser beams now, like to try to take down drones and things like that. Now they're going to be using it just to carry cell signals around. This is unbelievable. 6G mobile phone technology could emit harmful laser-like beams to create the first ultra-fast mobile internet. Great. So what will
But don't worry, because experts are emphasizing the need for careful system design there, Clayton. They want to ensure these beams are not pointed directly at us for prolonged periods.
Right.
Because you know what? Clearly they're not safe, and they already know this. But they could definitely be turned to us, and they could zap us, I mean, come on. The method used to approve the safety of wireless devices for commercial use, they're assessing it by specific absorption rate. That's SAR levels. And that SAR measurement, it's a measure of electromagnetic energy that's absorbed by our flesh and converted to heat. And however, there's so many researchers that have recently pointed out that this measure ignores the innumerable non-thermal effects, rendering it a crude estimation of safety. And to add on to this too, Clayton, these laser beams aren't traveling as far as a distance, so there will be even more structures and stations, like you said earlier, popping up all around us, causing even more exposure. And if that level of tracking is not raising your eyebrow yet, I mean, here's a real question to ponder. What could living inside a nonstop sensing network mean for our own physical health?
That's what's troubling. From sleep. I mean, I know we're talking about sleep and anxiety, but why we've seen such a massive increase in things like Alzheimer's, or at least more awareness about, even like, new data showing that, like, dropping or decreasing the age where people are getting Alzheimer's, maybe this and tied to EMFs.
Well, yeah. And I mean, when you're going up to terahertz frequencies, that this is going to use the 6G, and they're actually studied for their potential to cause thermal effects, the tissue heating. I mean, you could have problems in your eyes, the areas with low blood flow, your genitals. All these places could be vulnerable. And basically, they're going to, heat us from the inside out. You're going to dehydrate people, turn into dust, for God's sake. But, the age of onset Alzheimer's has decreased over the past 20 years. So people are getting it earlier and earlier. And the timing is very interesting. It's corresponding to the large recent increases in the wireless communication EMF exposures. And again, what else does it cause? DNA damage, breakage, increased oxidative stress, and cell death. Doesn't that sound like something everybody wants more of? I mean, I'm being facetious here, but this just, oh my gosh. And a recent study, you were talking about sperm count, or mentioning, reproductive. A recent study shows sperm count and testosterone levels are lower than ever. And probably it's not a coincidence, because this has been happening while we've been exposed to the 5G more recently.
I wouldn't doubt it. And you wonder why people are having fewer and fewer babies, and women are like, why don't men, want to go out and date women anymore? It's like, well, maybe the plummeting testosterone levels, like, we're being hit from all sides. It's what they want. They want depopulation. It's part of this depopulation agenda.
They want us all being they, thems.
Right, exactly. One other thing, of course, something close to your research over the years is what EMFs are doing in the gut as well, right? And this was shocking to me, looking at this new research about the gut biome. Can you talk about this?
Yeah, there's mounting evidence that these EMF levels, thank goodness this is coming out, and that's the balance of good and bacteria that are affecting our microbiome in our immune system. 70-80% of our immune system's in our microbiome. And then it increases our risk for chronic disease and dementia, heart disease, cancer. But the number one thing that we can do to keep that gut microbiome in balance and not create dysbiosis is to eat kimchi, because it has the most diverse probiotic profile of 900 plus unique beneficial strains of bacteria, the good guys. And it can actually protect. Kimchi can actually protect, it's been proven, to protect cells and DNA from damage because of the probiotics that reduce the oxidative stress They improve the gut barrier integrity and calm inflammation. They have the antioxidants from the vegetables and the spices that are used in the kimchi, and they directly neutralize DNA damaging free radicals. And in the fermentation process, Clayton, there are metabolites that are formed from the fermentation that promote the DNA repair and detoxification from the bad guys, and anti-inflammatory actions that prevent chronic oxidative energy. So kimchi is just, it's incredible.
And preventing cancer too. I mean, last night, you know, I always hear your voice in my head. So last night we had steak, and I said, "Where's the kimchi?" So we got it out of the refrigerator, like the big thing of it, whatever we get from Costco, and like piled it on there with our steak. And the kids are like, I don't know if I want kimchi because of the taste, but they're eating it now with their steak. So it's
that's good improvement. Good.
Yeah,
it's good.
So, and they know the benefits of it because we sing the praises of it all the time. But it also has cancer prevention as well, right?
Well, there was a study that measured the potential of lactic acid bacteria that was found in kimchi to prevent cancer. Yes, you're right. Let me just quote directly from that study, too. It says, quote, "The antibiotic-tolerant probiotic presented in kimchi suppresses expression of carcinogen-activating enzymes and possesses many other health benefits, such as suppression of growth and development of pathogenic bacteria, intestinal regulation, and immune boosts, especially the W. cibaria and L. plantarum found in kimchi, have many effects like anti-inflammatory, immune modulating, and blood cholesterol reducing activity, which may account for their cancer preventative anti-cancer potential," unquote.
Which is crazy to think. It can also, can help us repair everything that's going on with EMFs and 5G and 6G technology, but also do all of that on cancer. It's like a miracle food, right?
Oh, yeah. And another great thing has recently come out about kimchi is its heart benefits, its heart health benefits. They've shown in studies daily consumption of kimchi was shown to reduce blood glucose, triglycerides, blood pressure, and help our immune system. And again, 70 to 80% of our immune system is living in our gut. And so kimchi replenishes that good bacteria. It crowds out the harmful microbes and produces those compounds that modulate the immune responses, and that helps the body naturally defend itself. And there was another thing too, on top of all of this, if you can believe it, there was a hair study, inner health versus outer health. All the participants in this hair study consumed kimchi daily for 4 months, and over 96% of them saw increased hair count and shaft thickness. So we're going to need this when they up, us to the gamma ray levels where, we have no hair anymore. So you got to eat your kimchi.
Don't tell. Mine's already starting to thin, but it was thinning. It was starting to thin. I started eating a lot of kimchi, so maybe that's why it's come back. I don't know. Who knows if that's
there
the
you
reason.
go. Well, your health on the inside is reflected on your outside. That's for sure.
Yeah. And another thing, and I guess before we get you out of here, is also on body fat, which, if people are taking all this Ozempic garbage right now, maybe they actually eat something healthy. I saw this study and I wanted to ask you about it. This body fat reduction too from kimchi.
Yeah, that reduced the body fat by 31.8% when they ate kimchi every day. So Clayton, there's so many health benefits. Why turn to the same old thing people have been turning to, the pharmaceutical companies, to reduce your weight and everything, when all you've got to do is eat some kimchi? But there's so many health benefits. And what we wanted to do is make it easy for people to consume daily, which is why we created Kimchi One. And though the kimchi is in convenient capsules for daily use, you don't have to deal with an odor or a taste that you might not like. It's low in sodium, unlike when you buy it at the store. It's high in sodium. So if that's important to you, that's part of it. And it's 100% made in the USA and all natural and non-GMO. And there's so many success stories. You've seen all of the references that we've done now and all of the things that it can help address. But we have people constantly calling in that are using it, that have had problems with their digestion, their regularity, their immune system, where they used to get sick all the time. They're not getting sick as much or not at all. And people who have diabetes, Clayton, they couldn't control their blood sugar levels. Now they're controlling those blood sugar levels. And other symptoms people were suffering from, and they couldn't identify the cause of them, are finally feeling better. They have more energy. They don't have that chronic fatigue.
Wow. Well, where can people get it? Because I know you guys have put something special together for our audience.
Yeah. Well, if you go to mybrightcore.com/redacted, you can get 25% off your order of Kimchi One using that code redacted, or call in for up to 50% off and free shipping. Call 888-404-6312. And the first 100 callers, we're going to give them a free bottle of Fortify with their order. Now, Fortify contains all 9 essential amino acids. They're going to protect you against cellular damage. And as we age, we lose muscle mass, so it helps you to retain that muscle mass. It's going to boost hormone production and support your brain chemistry. And Clayton, we're normally not giving away such an expensive product as a free gift, but we want to support the people during the holiday season. So call us at 888-404-6312.
Wonderful. And you think about, like, I don't know if you ever saw like Better Call Saul, and like his brother who, like, he covers his whole house in like aluminum foil to protect himself.
Yes.
You know, no lights turning on, no EMFs, no cell phones. And it's like, is that what we're going to be stuck with? Or are there going to be these natural ways to, like, fix this? Because there's really no escaping this, And so to be able to have natural things that are found in nature that we can take every day to kind of protect us, maybe the only way. Otherwise, we're going to live like Better Call Saul.
Yeah, and you've got to be more disciplined. You've got to do things that you normally might not have ever done before. I think all of us ought to just tell everybody, no more computers. No, we're going to throw these 5G and 6G phones away. Let's just go back and live on farms and make life simpler. But How many people are actually going to do that?
I don't know. Maybe in the next 20, 30 years, there's going to be a big movement towards that. Like there'll be a cell phone free zone, here at this little commune that people are going to live in. I don't know. I think it's heading in that direction, but we're not there yet. Kim, great to see you. Thank you so much. This is a fascinating subject, and I wanted to bring you on to talk about it. Thank you so much.
I appreciate you bringing me on. Thank you, and have a very Merry Christmas.
You as well.
Thank you.